Oak Island Town Council meeting and public hearing, October the 9th, 2018, is now called to order. And I'd like to welcome everybody back. And it's nice to see as many here after this catastrophic event that we've all went through, our state, our county, and our town. Welcome, Representative Eiler. Thank you for coming. Haven't seen you in a while, but appreciate you being here always. Get started tonight by asking Councilman Blaylock to offer the invocation and the pledge of allegiance. Please stand.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to come together tonight. Please grant us the wisdom to do what's best for the community and our citizens. Also, please, Father, ease the burden of those who have been impacted by the recent bad weather. Some have lost all, and they need hope. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Julie. We'll start tonight off with our first public hearing, or our only public hearing for this month. It's the purpose of this public hearing is to receive citizens' comments on the proposed Unified Development Ordinance, which combines the planning and zoning ordinance into a single ordinance and the amended zoning map. Jake is here if any council member has any questions afterwards. Lisa, do we have anyone that would like to speak?
I do not have anyone signed up. I don't know if there was anybody that intended to speak, but nobody signed up for it.
Does anybody would like to speak on the public hearing number 1? All right, thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you. The council can take action on this tonight.
I have one amendment to the UDO. The definition of fill was inadvertently left out.
The definition of what?
Fill dirt.
Oh, fill dirt. Okay.
On a lot. The amount of fill added to a lot will be no greater than 1 foot above the crown of the road, or even with the highest adjacent lot, whichever is greater. Will not be greater than is necessary to meet the health department requirements for an improvement permit. Fill greater than 1 foot will have an engineered fill plan for stabilization. Stormwater retention lots requiring fill greater than 1 foot for the purposes of elevating above flood. For letters of map amendment through filling, leveling a lot with drastic elevations, or for the purpose of commercial stormwater design, may do so in accordance with sections 18-655, 18-666. Building height shall be measured from the average finished grade of the 4 corners of the structure. This was already in our prior ordinance. It just does not get transferred over to the UDO.
Did you get that, Jake? Do you need the number of the page? Sorry. Any more questions for Jake, or council have any more discussion? Okay, I'll call for.
Madam Mayor, as our attorney is not yet arrived this evening, I personally would feel more comfortable if we waited to take action until he is here and been apprised of what we've discussed so far.
So at what point do we add that back to the agenda?
We can add that to the agenda later. Yes, ma'am.
Is he on the way, or do you know?
Yes, ma'am. He's on the way.
Thank you.
How long do you know?
Said about 10 minutes.
Okay. All righty. All right, good. That'll lead us into the presentation. We'll put that on hold until Brian gets here. And the presentation was originally going to be by Mr. Cox with the Beach Preservation, and he was unable to attend tonight, so we'll move that forward to another meeting. But tonight we do have something that has just now been added to the agenda, and it's the Fireman, is it Fire Week, Preservation Week? And Mayor Pro Tem Scott is going to read that for us.
Okay. Whereas the town of Oak Island is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living and visiting our town, and U.S. fire departments responded to 365,500 home fires in 2015, according to the National Fire Protection Association. Newer homes are built with lightweight materials that burn faster than older home construction. And many of today's products and furnishings produce toxic gases and smoke when burned, making it impossible to see and breathe within moments. These conditions contribute to a much smaller window of time for people to escape a home fire safely, with people having as little as 1 to 2 minutes to escape from the time the smoke alarm sounds. A home fire escape plan provides the skill set and know-how to quickly and safely escape a home fire situation. A home fire escape plan includes 2 exits from every room in the home, a path to the outside from each exit, smoke alarms in all required locations, and a meeting place outside where everyone in the home will meet upon exiting. Home fire escape plans should be developed by all members of the household, and practicing a home fire escape plan twice a year ensures that everyone in the household knows what to do in a real fire situation. Oak Island's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And Oak Island's residents are responsive to public education measures and are able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. The 2018 Fire Prevention Week theme is Look, Listen, Learn, Be Aware. Fire can happen anywhere. Effectively serves to educate the public about the vital importance of being aware and developing a home fire escape plan. Therefore, our mayor, Sin Brochure, does hereby proclaim October 7th through 13, 2018 as Fire Prevention Week throughout the community, and urges all the people of Oak Island to develop a home fire escape plan with all members of the household and practice it twice a year.
Thank you, Councilman Scott. At this time, is there any adjustments or amendments to the to the agenda, excuse me?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I'd like to remove item number 3 from the consent agenda, please.
Okay, any more adjustments?
Yes, Madam Mayor, a couple right here. We need to remove old business number 2, new business number 1, that has to do with parking. And I'd like to set up a special meeting on Friday, November 16th, the date changed, at 9:00 a.m. to discuss paid parking and discuss these other parking issues.
Give me the date again, Jeff, please.
Friday, November 16th,
9 o'clock.
9:00.
November 16th. Okay,
Also,
so that'll be a special meeting.
yes, ma'am. Also, we need to add a budget ordinance amendment. We need to have a closed session at a session for personnel. And also, Madam Mayor, on a new business number, if you want to make it number 1 now.
1,
Discussion about adding some stop signs on Yacht for the bridge closing. There was a number of conversations during the bridge meeting about people cutting through Yacht to make it a little faster.
Okay,
And DOT was sort of on board with it, so we need to have a discussion about that.
okay. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Moving on to public comments. Please remember there's a 3-minute limit. State your name when you come to the podium and your address. Do we have anyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Gary Peterson?
My name is Gary Peterson. I live at 1 White Lane on Oak Island. I've lived here for 24 years. I want to give high praise to the town council, the mayor, for the excellent cleanup and response from Hurricane Francis. That being said, the highest praise goes to the town workers who came in, who got the sewer back running, who got the water things going. I was in observance where the parking lot was at, where the town put their cleanup equipment, their equipment, police cars and that. On Saturday morning, between 7 and 9, there was 2 front-end loaders, 1 backhoe that left that parking lot to remove trees from the roadways and that. They never returned, and they were working, I don't know how long they worked, but maybe all night or whatever. But when we was able to get out, the trees from major highways major roads were gone. But the council and the town workers responded exceptional in getting this done, and I really appreciate it. On a different note, I also am president of the Oak Island Senior Center, and I would like to invite the mayor and everyone of the town council to come to our covered dish dinners. These are the 3rd Tuesday of the month, except for November, and we're going to be on the 2nd because of Thanksgiving weekend. But you're certainly there. In November, we're having our annual meeting, although that is for members. Any member and the mayor is invited as honored guests at that meeting. Thank you.
That's the third Thursday?
The third Tuesday.
Third Tuesday.
The third Tuesday of each month, except for this for November, which is our annual meeting, and we always bring that up to the 2nd Tuesday because of Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Karen Fullerton.
Karen Fullerton. I live at 142 Northwest 13th Street. I'm here actually with some neighbors, if you wouldn't mind standing, who are also affected by this complaint. There's at least 6 adjacent properties affected by the lack of stormwater management drainage, which has flooded our home and properties, not just from the hurricane, but for many years from regular rains and thunderstorms. I've been asking the town for help since July, when I first experienced flooding after moving here. No one will come out to even review the problem. We've heard everyone is flooded. While that might be the case, I'd argue no one on the island has the same level of flooding who is not in a flood zone. We're in Zone X. Since I personally have tried to correct this, I've gotten a land survey for which no civil engineer will stamp with a correction, simply because it's not a single property issue. Investigations to date, show this to be ongoing over many years, neighbors stating they've gone to the town previously for help. Gene Cudgis told me personally the area was a pond when he lived there several years ago at 134 Northwest 13th. He said there was a hole and a pond that forms in that area. I've installed 2 sump pumps and they barely make a difference, as this is not normal flooding. You're telling us this issue is the sole responsibility of homeowners. You're asking us to pump hundreds of thousands of gallons, a full pond or maybe a wetland every time it rains. I've logged more than 200,000 gallons in the last 3 weeks to save our home, not including neighbors pumping. True to Gene's statement, this is a pond, yet it's not designated as a wetland. Continued new construction permits allow for building codes to build up a foot from the highest area, exacerbating the flooding over the years. Third-party water testing now shows dangerous E. coli and coliform in this area, as it cannot drain, and that is definitely a public health hazard. This man-made alteration to our land comes from the utility easement from the 60s that might not have caused flooding back then with the wooded lots around. But town development permits given, not accounting for this low special area, has exacerbated the problem, and a stormwater plan did not accommodate for this special area. Our homes could be wiped out in the near future and become part of this whole. The town cannot say it's a personal home issue given that the lowest point is man-made for utilities. Over time, building permits have eroded the land further, and you won't allow us to touch this easement or to correct the land as part of the utility easement. And current health hazards and water testing, I feel, make this a town issue as a public hazard. We're asking the council as the spokesperson to review this area and to propose a solution for which we pay taxes for, so that we don't have to go further for state inspections or other interventions. We simply want cooperation so our homes aren't lost to something that has been created and exasperated over many years from easements and town permits. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fullerton.
Helen Cashwell.
Good evening. I'm Helen Cashwell, 3407 East Yacht. In 1999, Hurricane Floyd hit our town with terrible flooding. 38th Street in Holly was a lake with 3 houses flooded and school buses letting school children out with water up to the door of the buses. I spoke at that council that followed about the flooding and the town not paying attention to this area. Councilman Ingerman at that time stated that maybe they should put a sump pump at the intersection to take care of the water. That was the last time the town has paid attention to the stormwater issue. This year, all 4 corners of 38th and Holly have flooded. Not 3 houses were ruined, but 4 ruined, and water's still running in that area. I lived on 38th at that time, and a friend parked in my right-of-way, and his car fell into a sinkhole in front of my house, and the town had to pull him out. Several sinkholes appeared later that year on 38th Northeast, all the way to the waterway. Hot spots of flooding have existed ever since that hurricane, and the same hot spots are still existing. Not just 38th, East 11th, 12th, and Oak Island Drive, and the one that we just heard about. In February of this year, my gardener fell into a sinkhole on my right-of-way, and it hadn't been repaired as of this time. In fact, when we evacuated, we had to hide the cones. Half of the burn on Southeast 55th was cut off to provide walking access, and as a result, flooding in that area has been a huge problem with this hurricane. Houses higher than the neighbors has resulted in massive flooding that didn't have to happen. Our city council continues to buy property without a plan for immediate use and let our infrastructure rot. It's been at least 3 to 4 years since the Powell bill money was provided by the state for resurfacing our streets. These hot spots of flooding should grab the town's attention, be marked, and as soon as the areas dry out, be the first thing that money is spent on. Tropical storm forecast for tonight. Brunswick County has already put out a warning, and Michael is headed our way with more rain. How will you handle that one? Tourist attractions are great, but when word gets out, and I can assure you that it will, this flooding probably, how much will that help builders and attract new residents? As a council members, you should receive an F for your ability for this town and provide for the citizens who you so willingly tax for your foolish expenditures.
Anyone else, Lisa?
Roseanne Fortner.
Roseanne Fortner, 113 Paulus Circle, speaking as a volunteer delegate for the Beach Preservation Society. The Beach Preservation Society is eager to have council appoint new members to the Trust Fund Advisory Board. The current board of 5 people out of 10 possible can't vote, but they hope that the applicants on tonight's agenda will be appointed. The board will still have another term to fill after that, so if you feel a calling to assist with our service to the beach, please step forward and put your application in for that remaining position. Like many organizations, Beach Preservation had to postpone an event when Florence came. Our part of the International Coastal Cleanup was rescheduled from a September 15th event to an independent cleanup by post-hurricane volunteers. The focus turned to removal of debris rather than counting it all as we usually do in the international cleanup. So our tallies will be lower when they come in this year. Please, if you have those tally forms for cleaning up debris, return those to the rec center as soon as possible. Special thanks should go to a group of folks who reached out to Beach Preservation from another Facebook page and really wanted to help in a big way. Beach Preservation will plan to work with them in the spring to get the beach ready for next tourist season. Public Works has the action now with beach cleanup, with mostly logs, fence posts, and tires to be removed, plus street signs to be replaced. The trash and recycle bins will be replaced at the end of hurricane season, they tell us. Beach Preservation has a new book celebrating more than 20 years of service to the beach. A copy is in the front lobby downstairs. Council and staff have another. We'll put one in the library and other strategic places where people can examine the photo record of the things that we have done in service to the beach. The group is rightly proud of what it has accomplished, but it hopes to move more actively into new ventures with the people to be appointed tonight. Finally, I personally want to remind everyone to vote in the November 6th general election. Absentee ballots are available now at the Brunswick County Board of Elections. If you aren't registered, Brunswick County now has voter registration through October 15th, and beginning October 17th, you can register and vote early at the same time. You surely know how important it is to exercise your voting privileges. Do this, please. I'll put a copy of the election schedule out on the table for your use.
Thank you, Ms.
Van Swicker?
My name is Vance Wicker. I'm a non-resident. We have a property at 525 West Beach Drive. Been visiting this island since I was a baby. My parents were here before that. We've seen a lot of changes, a lot of improvements, a lot of good things, a few bad things. My concern, in a nutshell, seems to be a lack of planning by the town council, a lack of vision as to what the future should be. It shows on the new business, there are just 2 items, and it concerns parking and public and prohibited signs. We've got issues such as water that's standing in people's homes at 11th Street, 32nd Street, other places. We've got issues with the beach renourishment that seems to be kind of haphazard. There's no notification to the homeowners as to what the plans are. It's just say we're going to start at a certain point and go as far as we can. We need to have better planning. We need to know what the future is. Not next week, not next month, but next year, 2 years, 5 years down the road. And everybody I talk to, a lot of non-residents, a lot of residents, feel the same frustration as we do, that we're not getting the proper planning to get these major issues as well as some of these minor issues taken care of. One example is besides the beach renourishment, we're in an area that if we had not done our own dune renourishment, water would most likely come under the house and into the street. And that's in the area of Middleton Street down to about 10th block west. And it just seems that it's just here and there. It's not any proper planning. Another issue, this is a minor issue, but seems that after the storm we should have gotten the waste and the recycling cans back at the public access areas. There are hundreds of people on the beach every day. There's no place for their trash. If they're walking dogs, there's no place for the waste of the dog trash. So that's minor, but it's kind of a major minor. Another thing that's kind of a little upsetting is there's a lot of new beautiful homes at Lockwood Inlet, at Kings Lynn, and driving down there in the last few months, we've noticed that no parking signs all the way down the right side when you're going to Lockwood Inlet. And it seems unfair for the people that don't have a place on the beach, that come to Oak Island, go to the inlet to fish, that they only have one small area to park when there used to be more parking spaces. It just seems that those people should have a right to go down there and park and have a place to fish. And yet there's all these new beautiful signs there. Or you might say beautiful, they're unsightly. And it's just not fair.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker.
So My concern is plan ahead, communicate, notify, and represent the people, resident or non-resident. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I had signed up.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for your comments. We'll move on to the council reports, and we will start with Councilman Bach.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to echo the praise that has already been offered for our entire town staff, include as well the administration and the county. I think there was a coordinated effort to mitigate the effects of Hurricane Florence. I'd also like to note the generosity of our citizens in helping one another. Literally, one could see that up and down each street, and I want to commend my fellow citizens for doing that. I would suggest that one of the things that we should do now is conduct an after-action, post-mortem analysis of our storm preparation, our storm response, and our recovery. And clearly, based on what we've heard this evening, we should be looking at our infrastructure preparedness and issues there. I think that would be a very helpful exercise for us. Hopefully, we won't have to do it in the next 48 hours, but I think when time permits, we should conduct that analysis, and council should get a chance to look at it. And that's, in effect, saying what went well, what didn't we anticipate, what problems can we identify, how do we get better? As good as we are, how do we get better? And that should be the thrust of us as an organization.
Thank you. Madam Mayor?
I don't even know where to start with our thanks to our town staff, our Development Services Department, our Public Works Department, our Public Utilities Department, most of all, our administration. The sign of a good leader is one who can get his employees to do things that need to be done without a whole lot of coercion, and I think we have that. I saw our town manager bring in a air mattress on Thursday morning of the storm, and he did not leave for 8 days. We had Public Works and Public Utilities people out during the storm, keeping the sewer going, the water going as much as possible. We had roads that were cleaned up before we were able to open the bridge, and I just can't thank our staff enough. I was very proud of them.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I just echo what my two fellow council people said, and we do really appreciate all the hard work and all the participation by town staff.
Councilman Blaylock?
You guys said it all. You really did. Very proud to be a part of the team. Very proud of the way our town manager performed and the staff. And appreciate all the positive feedback that I've gotten from the various citizens that I've run into. Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, I think council members have said it quite well. Staff did an extraordinary job. The hours they worked to get the island back ready for people to come back, and also all the volunteers who worked giving food, water, any kind of supplies for people that needed it. I mean, that shows a strong community to myself. That's what it means to me. I also agree with Mr. Bach. When I got off from work and finally got back to town, I actually rode from west to east, looking at areas that was flooded, new homes that were being built. And I had a discussion that same day with our town manager, and I asked him to look at bringing in contractors to start cleaning out some of these ditches. If he needed more help in our next budget cycle, let's get the staff in here to be able to do that. And let's look at how we're allowing some of the houses to be built where there are ditches and there's no drainage pipe put there and it's just a driveway. Because all of that creates a problem. We need to come up with a protocol for when we have a storm that the staff knows exactly what to do without worrying about asking council, can we do this?
and let them go into action and do the job they need to do. And that's all I have.
Thank you. You guys have said it all. First, the mayor's report. I don't have much to add other than I would like to thank the staff personally, not only our town manager, but all department heads and everyone that's under you. I was in the EOC during the hurricane with David in his mattress. I would go home at night, but we were all there. Some of us did evacuate and most of us stayed, but we were in constant contact with each other. Not one decision was made during that pressure cooker EOC experience that was not discussed with each member of this council. And we were all in unison and all agreed before any decision was final. I can't say enough about the infinite love I have witnessed in this last month in September with the people of Oak Island and the wonderful group of volunteers that reached out to help not only our citizens, but reached out to help 10 or 20 other towns, and we're able to do it, and we're glad to do it, and we did it because we have an awesome Cape Fear Regional Jetport and an awesome manager that allowed us to commandeer his airport and get supplies in by air. Anybody that witnessed that would be in total amazement, and that's a movement, that's a grassroots movement, and that's our future. That's how the future will be when there's catastrophic events like this when they happen. I saw some miracles, in fact, multitude of miracles. Someday, and maybe another meeting, maybe in December, I'll share those with you and bring some of the volunteers in that can share those with you. But I couldn't be prouder of our town and our staff. I want to thank my council for being there, being willing to answer the phone and to make some tough decisions. I can't think of a decision we would have made otherwise. We protected our town. We got you back as quick as we could. You come home to a lot better situation than the towns and the communities around us, around the state, county. It was like little bombs going off all over. And if you've never experienced that, I'm sure Miss Caswell knows what I'm talking about. It is a very stressful period in any mayor's life, knowing what to say and not say, because I'm sure she's went through several hurricanes. With that said, I'd like to myself give a round of applause to my staff. Thank you, David. All right. This time, I will entertain a motion to amend the, excuse me, y'all. I'm sorry, I'm emotional when I talk about the wonderful things that I've witnessed.
Mayor, I'm sorry, can I interrupt 1 second? And can we check with Mr. Eads about, Mr. Eads, we had the public hearing at the beginning of the meeting, but we deferred taking action until you arrived, so I don't know where you wanted to put that.
Wherever they want to. Let me apologize. My fiance's car was in the shop. Supposed to be ready at 3:30. She called me at 4, said they ordered the wrong part. And if I wanted to have a place to stay, I needed to go help her out.
Need no further explanation,
apologize.
Mr. Eaves.
But now would be a perfect time before we start into.
Okay.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Lisa.
Let's back up to public hearing number 1, and I'll entertain a motion. I think, John, somebody was making that motion when you interrupted.
Madam Mayor, I'm happy to make the motion to adopt the UDO as presented.
Second, please.
Should it be as amended?
Oh, I'm sorry, as amended by Councilor Bell. Thank you.
Second, Charlie. All in favor, please. Passed unanimously, Lisa. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda as amended.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you.
And can I clarify that that did include the budget ordinance amendment that you added?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. We did remove one thing off of the...
3, number 3.
Excuse me?
Number 3 was removed. And
I'm happy to speak to that, Madam Mayor.
Boy, these new speakers are, I think the sound's coming from that. Is anybody else having that problem? I don't know where to look. Go ahead, Councilman Bott.
So I have a question on item 3, let's see, 3B, which is on page 13. And my question goes to the last sentence. I'd like a little bit of additional detail, if someone could explicate for me. These additional funds are necessary to pay for additional sensors for meters, as well as unanticipated costs, higher programming expense from the town software vendor for conversion costs. I'm curious as to the magnitude of the overrun and what caused it. If you can give me a little bit more detail, I'd appreciate that.
Well, what caused it, the last 2 years, we've had the construction boom that we've had. When the study was done originally, there was 297 meters that were not calculated into the first one. So that added those. The software, when we were dealing with Tyler before, they gave us a lump sum to make switches when they transferred the program over before we brought this system online. Once we went back to them and told them what we needed to have done to do the mass meter transfers over from the old system to the new system, they gave us an additional price per item, and that is what the overrun was.
So is this the, does this take us to the completion of this project and full expenditure?
At the very end of the project, we will run a system-wide check to make sure that we do account for everything that we put in within the system. There is a few credits that we will be getting on a few items, and then there is some that will be, that wasn't unanticipated. The 1-inch meters, we had more of those than what was in the system that showed on the old system that we had. The combination meters for the commercial corridors were different than what was in the old system. So some in-house things, there will be some small changes, but there should not be anything great.
So as a percentage, this overrun is what percentage of the total project?
Yeah, less than 1%.
Less than 1%. And if our building boom were to continue, are we going to anticipate that in the budget going forward in terms of meters?
Yes, everything that we had on the other side for construction is running on par for the budget that we're currently under.
Thank you. Appreciate the information.
Any more questions on that subject? We need to entertain a motion to approve that particular item.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 3 as presented in the agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Committee appointments, Beach Preservation Trust Fund Advisory Board. There are 4 terms ending September 2021. The first name for decision is Cheryl Cook. Roseanne Faulkner.
Can I vote twice?
Thank you. Molly Lloyd, Mary as she's known. Okay, thank you. And Janet Murphy. Thank you very much. Board of Adjustments, Paula Chambers. Okay, all right, thank you. Administrative reports, Mr. Kelly.
Yes, ma'am. We'd also like to thank council on everything they did during the storm. Staff did a great job, and we appreciate all the workers that were out during the storm, police, fire, public works, public utilities. All those guys did a great job, and they're still working to try to get everything restored. Got a few updates on some projects that we had beginning and where we're at now. We have been in touch with FEMA for the storm that we just had pass. Everything now is going to be online. They have set up a system that they are still working on. We are in line to get our FEMA number, and we're 189 on a list of about 300 currently. So hopefully we'll get that here worked out soon. Everything that we have in the town that was damaged or whatever has already been entered into the system, so we're just waiting for a response. The sand projects that we had completed prior to the storm, Moffett Nichols did a pre and post survey for all those, so we've given that information to FEMA, and we'll be asking for about $12.2 million worth of restoration for those projects. We still have the Sea Turtle project that's still out there from the last storm, and that money is still there. It's $8.8 million, so we're looking at about $20.2 million worth, hopefully, that we'll get from the federal government for the sand projects. The pier work continues. Phase 1 should be completed by the end of this month. Phase 2 starts right back up for the completion of the pier, hopefully by May. 801 had some damage to it. Everything was sort of inside and cosmetic. Those a lot of repairs are being made currently. The pier house, we're getting it cleaned up after the storm. We had a deck that was on the rear of the property that blew off, but those are being repaired as well. The last thing that we have on that is to get the kitchen cleaned, and the contractor asked us to have everything else completed before he stepped in, and we are setting a date for him to come later in the month. Public Works and Stormwater, they have a list. People are on the list as they called in during the storm and after the storm. I'll send that out to council so y'all can see everybody that is on it and the locations, everything that we have, and they continue to work it out on that daily. Debris contractor started today. He's going to start on both ends of the island. The monitoring contractor is in place. They're taking our debris out on Highway 211 due to the bridge closure that starts next week. The airport road site was going to be too far for them to drive around to. So they'll be taking everything there. And they said roughly 14 to 16 weeks is the first primary, or they said the completion will be for cleanup. That could extend, but that's what they gave us so far. The air conditioners that we had for the vacuum stations, phase 2 and phase 3, the prices on those came in as phase 1. So we're good to go on those, and we'll award that contract for that to be completed. And that's all I have at this time.
Thank you. Just to be clear on the 8.5, was it 8.5 million?
The Sea Turtle? 8.2.
8.2, and Johnny Martin is working on that, and that's what we've had several meetings on regarding the progress and what those projected dates would be. So I just want to make it clear because sometimes the public doesn't always get to all the meetings.
Yes, ma'am.
So they are being worked on.
Yes, that project is still being worked on currently.
Thank you, David. Mr. Eves?
No report, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to old business. The first thing on old business is discussion of the pier complex. And I will ask if there's any discussion of the pier complex. Does anybody want to start? I think, Jeff, you had...
Madam Mayor, I'll start. We've been talking about this and talking about this. Councilman Bott's got a proposal to have a management company look at it. I think it needs to go full circle and have a management company bid it out with RFPs. Plus, we need to have RFPs from single vendors so we can compare the amount of money that's going to come in each way. I don't think we can make a logical decision without doing that. That way we can look at the money we'll make from a management company managing the whole project down there and different vendors and see which amount comes in the most. We can look at it, us running the pier. We have a space up front of the pier that can be leased out. We have the restaurant can be leased out, and then we have 801 that can be leased out, or us run it as a venue. So I think we need to have a motion, and I'll make that motion to have 2 separate RFPs go out. Give it till, you said another month.
It'd be one RFP to go out and have everything looped into one.
We'll have one.
And everybody could bid on the whole package.
Okay.
Then they would bid on the itemized, and you could go ahead and look at it then to see which ones you wanted to do.
So am I understanding correctly, where we're not narrowing it down, we're offering it either way, and when we get them both in, we'll see which way is the more lucrative for the town?
I'm happy to, if I may, join the conversation, and my colleague and I have a disagreement about how to proceed, but we have the same end goal in mind. And I want to go back to something that was said earlier in the public comment section. We do have a strategic plan, and we have identified the critical issues, beginning with beach renourishment, and admittedly, in some cases, the progress hasn't been as rapid as we would have liked. Certainly, I would have liked more rapid progress. We do have an environmental protection mandate, and we did pass a tree ordinance, actually 2 of them. We are working on the pier. We're discussing the pier as we sit here, and we clearly have an interest in creating a sustainable economic base. So I would say we do have a direction. These are complicated and challenging issues. And to the pier, I would say 2 things. I'm happy to have the hybrid approach if that's what it takes to get a consensus. I believe we need professional expertise to manage this venue. I don't think it's something that we should be doing, that we should take on. And frankly, I don't think we have that expertise. I don't think that we should put public dollars at risk. I think we should be the landlord, collect the check, and let others do the work. Whether that's a unified concept or a separate concept, I can support either one. I do not support us running anything on the pier other than collecting the rent. That's just a philosophic difference that we have. But I'm happy to support your motion to wrap both of these approaches into one. That makes sense. I think we need to move forward.
So Jeff,
And-
how would you like to put your motion?
I would like to make a motion that we send RFPs out to look at the management company running the whole project and individuals being able to lease it out. Let the bids come back in,
Are you including the town running that at all?
including the town running the pier part of it.
So we would actually be able to compare
Compare
apples and apples.
apples to apples and how much money will be generated each way to have an overall picture of it.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? All right, thank you. I'm assuming that we've gotten A covered for you, Mr. Falk, or do you have more discussion on the A proposal?
No, I'll just, if I may have a final comment. I think that more information is always better. More data is useful, but, and I'll wait, I won't prejudge or prejudice the results, but as I said, I'm not going to support us running a business. I don't think that's a solid public posture for us. But that's down the road. I just wanted to make sure my remarks were clear. That I do not support.
I just want to
I'm
get an
willing to
overall picture.
I'm willing to get the
Be
information.
made?
Yes.
Okay. Well, to have it open, it's going to have to happen pretty rapidly to
Yes.
have it open by season.
Yes.
Because every month you're losing revenue.
So with that difference noted, Madam Mayor.
Okay. All right, thank you. Let's see. We deleted number 2, moved it to a public hearing. And so we'll move on to new business, which we're going to
We moved number 1 also from new business to the November 16th.
Right.
So-
Yes, so we
Create a new-
replaced it though with the public parking.
No stop signs.
No stop
Okay.
signs, okay.
All right.
All right, Councilman Minkoff, since you put that on there,
Yes, ma'am.
what do you,
When we were here with the bridge meeting, there was discussion about traffic cutting down Yacht Drive. And with speed limit being 35, they were afraid that people were going to be speeding, trying to go down East Oak Island Drive and Yacht Drive. It was thought of, if you go every 10 to 12 blocks, put stop signs up to slow the traffic down. DOT was sort of in favor of helping out with that because it could be a problem. So that's just a discussion we wanted to bring up and see what council thought about it, see how it works, see if it hinders, if it slows people down.
so you're needing I guess for the staff
We will
to
need a
move forward and talk
consistent-
with DOT,
yeah,
you need
yeah.
consensus, correct? And how do you feel about that? Open
I'm
discussion.
not sure that I like that idea at all. And here's the reason why. I think with the additional traffic on Oak Island Drive, that we need to be able to use Yacht Drive and, is it Holly or, which one is it that doesn't have the stop signs turned? Is it Holly or, is it Holly? Yeah. To be able to not hinder the traffic.
Well,
I think it was the speed.
it's the
not
speed,
necessarily
it's not the traffic, it's the speed. I was going down there the other day and I was doing 35 miles an hour. And I had a car come flying by me with all the debris on the road, they come flying by me. So if we've got stop signs up in place, it's going to slow them down. It cannot do nothing but slow them down. I'd hate for something to happen and then we're behind the 8 ball
I
trying to
know,
stop
and I
this.
understand that. My concern, I guess, is that we put stop signs up and then all of a sudden we turn around and decide that that's not what we want, and then we have to take the stop signs down because it's not working.
It would be temporary, just during the construction of the bridge.
Bridge.
How many would be looking at, Jeff, do you think? I mean, it wouldn't be every intersection.
6.
Oh,
We're looking about
6
every
for
10
the-
to 12 blocks.
On
not
east
talking-
and west, or just
Just-
east? Just in the east, just the east?
All the way up to 58. And then after 58, you got that 64th juts in, then you got 69th, then you got 79th. All those.
You got that curve.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
no.
they're gonna slow down in that area anyway. Hopefully.
Maybe.
Hopefully.
What do you think a safe speed is?
Well, we've got a safe speed is already there, what is it, 35 miles an hour on yachts?
It's 35,
But they're
yeah.
driving 50, and I don't know how to regulate it except slow them down and give tickets for them running stop signs. That's where that
the one way to
discussion is
rate,
coming from.
I mean, we're looking at a temporary thing with the bridge closed, to see if it,
I'm okay with temporary if it's only temporary for 6 months and then the stop signs will come up.
Yeah, it's just doing construction.
There's just so many people that still work, that use that thoroughfare to keep out of the traffic in the summertime. And that's my concern, is that, you know, I understand the slowing it down.
this was a temporary solution that DOT was.
I'm okay with it, if that's, I mean, you know, if you guys think that that
I'd
it'll
rather,
make a
I'd rather
difference.
err on the side of safety here, and let's try it. If it doesn't work, we can just pull them up, so let's give
It
a go.
actually was a big concern during the bridge meeting with the public and the DOT, and it had already started because now we've got debris trucks going up and down Yacht.
Can you get them up there, Mr. Kelly, before next Monday?
We will get them up there as fast as we can.
So do we have a consensus then?
Well, I'd like to know whether what's DOT's posture on this? Are they aware that we're going to erect these stop signs to,
Yes.
That's not,
And they were,
that's not a DOT road.
and they were in favor for it anyway.
okay, that's what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
So someone with a traffic analysis background has looked at this.
We actually had that discussion.
Okay.
Asked them what they thought about it.
Fair enough, and I can support it.
Yeah, I don't think any of you will hear that, just Jeff and I. We took all that information in and made the notes.
But I think it's important that, as we present it, to say that this is something that DOT has looked at. and
We're
has-
embarking on another unique situation, and literally nothing we can do about it except to try to control as much as we can. It's the DOT's project, not
Yeah,
ours.
fair enough. I like Councilman Scott's proviso, though, that if this doesn't work, if somehow we have unintended consequences, we can take these down.
We are going to include the part about temporary, correct?
Yes.
And one other thing about Yacht Drive, has the school system been back in touch with us about maybe moving the school buses to Yacht Drive instead of Oak Island Drive?
They
know
have
when-
their own system in place, David. I don't know exactly the detail, but they've been working on it as long as we've been working on it, about 6 months now. So they feel
can ask
comfortable with what their solution was coming up with.
That's,
Are there bus stops on Oak Island Drive now?
now they
No
stop
bunch.
about every 3 or 4 streets. So it's going to really cog
You know
things
what, we
up.
probably need to check their website and see if they've posted how they're gonna handle it.
Well, I know they added 7 buses for Oak Island,
Right.
and that's the last thing they told us. They didn't tell us any kind of changes. And that was back prior to the storm was the last time we had talked to them.
Yeah, and the storm has really pushed back a lot of things and a lot of decisions, and a lot of things have changed because of the damage in the county, so we probably need to update and then update our Facebook page and our website, see what we can find. Okay. All right, moving on to number 2 in new business is the proposed amendment on section 18-254 prohibited signs. And this is basically specific upon the request of some of the realtors to give them a specific where they can put their signs. So there's no question for them or for us or our departments. So does anybody have any discussion on that? Just the amendment, Jay, would you like to come to the podium and kind of just touch on what we did change in that amendment?
Give us an update and the
Why
reason
we
that
did, yeah.
we asked for this.
Yeah, this was a council directive for temporary signs in the right-of-way. An example would be like the real estate type signs. Common example. This is an ordinance the staff has been enforcing, and the way it's written due to the recent directive from you all was to set a specific distance of 20 feet from the edge of the road pavement out where no signs of that sort could be placed, and then outside of that it was permissible. Or if there's a sidewalk, it being on the other side of the sidewalk. And it even details where you measure from on the sign. It's the furthest most edge of the sign that's closest to the road. That's it in a nutshell.
And could you please get, I'm assuming that we can send a mass email to the real estate
Oh,
code
yeah,
recommendation?
absolutely. That's one of my follow-up actions.
Madam Mayor, may I ask a question of the audience? How many realtors do we have here? Does this address the issue that you're having?
Well, I haven't read through all the details of it. We were kind of something more simplistic.
Well,
Well, I mean, it says,
yeah, well,
it
that's what they
says
did.
20 foot from the edge of the pavement,
Yeah.
5 foot from the house or structure or sidewalk or on the property. I mean, that's pretty, is that simplistic enough?
That's what it says. I mean, I see several pages here.
It would, I think it's, the ones in yellow, oh, have you got, in yellow is what changed. Can you think of anything else more complicated in there than okay.
I just remember the realtors coming in and saying that they were having an issue because they didn't know where to measure from, and we were trying to get it more specific, and I think this does that.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty, go to the edge of the pavement and measure 20 foot back.
Okay.
Is that how simple it is?
What it said before was just not in the right-of-way on private property.
Okay.
Now it gives a specific distance from the edge of the pavement.
And can we send out, if we approve this, can we send out a notice to everybody so they know this?
I have a master list for realtors
Okay.
I created. I'll probably send it before as a courtesy warning before my next round of sign pickups.
Yeah.
And I'll let them know this was recently adopted, this is what it says, etc.
Yeah, please give them a
Yes.
time to comply.
Okay, I'll send it out tomorrow.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to get a legal opinion on numbers C, portable signs. And I kind of understand what this is, but
Page,
is this going to, this will be on page 66, is this going to prevent somebody if they want to have a trailer and put a sign right around town and, you know, that type of thing?
But that's not changing, right? The only thing that's changing is the
I
yellow.
just wanted a legal opinion on.
He just wants to clarify.
I'm just trying to make sure we're not changing the whole ordinance.
Well, I don't care if we have to. If it's not legal, I want an opinion.
Just to be clear, that letter is specifically for special event type permits. If someone's having a 5K charity run or something like that, then they put up signs around promoting it. They get the special event permit with the special event signs permit. That's what that section's referring to.
I understand that, but I don't, you know, it's, looks like to me it could kind of be an infringement, the way it's written. And,
I mean, that particular section is just defining what a portable sign is. You're talking about subsection C on page
Yes.
66.
Any sign not permanently affixed or which is capable of being transported on its own chassis or by other mobile means.
That's defining what's in italics there, portable signs.
So are you saying, can you put it on a car and drive it around? Is that-
No, if you have a vehicle with a trailer, can you put a sign on the trailer, and would that be legal?
That would be deemed a portable sign. I'm trying to see where the portable signs are prohibited, Jake. I don't see it in this particular section.
There's also the section right below 18.252 defines temporary signs rather than portable signs.
But I believe Councilmember Scott's question is, are portable signs illegal? And subsection C just defines what a portable sign is and says,
They're not illegal. Like an A-frame sign or a feather flag sign that you see in the commercial zoning
Talking about a
district.
sign being able to ride behind the vehicle
Right.
on the trailer. Somebody put an A-frame sign on the trailer and drive around, is that legal?
Yeah, that's not prohibited. That's okay.
Well, it doesn't read like that to me, but I may be reading it wrong.
Well, if you'd like, I'll give you a written opinion on it, Mr. Scott. If I understand your question is whether portable signs are illegal or violation of the ordinance. Is that the question?
Specifically, if it's being transported on a trailer.
Yes. Well, it clearly talks about, if they are prohibited, then that would include a sign transferred on a trailer, because it talks about being
Right.
other mobile means, so yes. But what I'd like to do is look at it, the whole sign ordinance, see when it is and is not prohibited, and then give you and the council a written opinion.
Is this the whole sign ordinance or just a section of it, Jake?
Small excerpt.
Small piece.
But you just adopted the new UDO tonight anyway, so you'll need to look at the language in that document, so it may be different from what's in this section, since this comes from the old section,
Well,
to further complicate it.
okay.
So, Counselor,
Yes, sir.
may I assume that in your review of the sign ordinance, I want to pursue Councilman Scott's question a little further, that you're going to examine it from the perspective of whether or not it is an undue restriction on
Right.
speech? Yeah.
Well, I will tell you that as written there, you don't have to read the face of the sign, so you'd be subject to a lower constitutional scrutiny, probably intermediate, as opposed to if you have to read a sign and read its contents to determine whether it violates your ordinance, that's the highest scrutiny or strict scrutiny. But I'll be happy to incorporate that as well.
Yeah, I'd like to avoid being plunged into a constitutional, debate about signs.
Yes, sir.
So is what we're looking at tonight, Jake, in the new UDO we just passed? Is this how it reads?
It will be
Okay.
once adopted.
So I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adopt the right-of-way signage allowance.
Second.
All in favor, please. Thank you. Thank you, Jake. That concludes that portions of our agenda. So I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
If you started, I'll give you the numbers.
Motion to go into closed session, discuss specific personnel.
Pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A6.
As moved.
She said.
Second.
All in favor?
That's just what I was thinking.
Thank you.
That's pretty funny.
That was funny.
9 a.m., okay.
My head.
9 a.m.
All right, we got everybody?
Planning board meeting, when is that? That's
You're on the green light.
This time I'll call the meeting back to order and like to state that there was no action taken in closed session. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Madam Mayor, I just need to add for the minutes that in addition, in closed session, we also discussed pending litigation. So the minutes need to reflect that.
Thank you.
Do I need to call for another motion to adjourn, or we?
I didn't hear the vote. Did you all vote in favor?
Yes,
Are you
all in favor,
We
please.
both voted in favor
Thank
of
you.
adjourning.
We're gonna have the pay,
All right, we're done, Kyle.